Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
Show. Today we have an exciting special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Lynn Mayhew, and I live in Canada, in Ontario. And I have a TV show called That Hunting Girl on Sportsman Channel.
Very cool. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
It's snowy outside.
Yeah, that's the way it is here as well.
Oh, cool. Where are you out of, actually?
I'm in Virginia, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, so we got some snow. Probably not as much as you guys.
I saw. I actually drove through Virginia last year on my way back we went to Nashville
Okay.
and then down to Florida, and then we drove back up through Virginia. I love it there. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I've been here my entire life.
Oh.
So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into the outdoors and hunting? And
Yeah, for sure. So I was born in Northern Ontario, and my parents were always outdoors enthusiasts. My dad was a mechanic, so he would do a lot of hunting and fishing because that's what we ate. And ever since I was little, I always followed my dad around in the bush. And then as I was growing up, I got more interested in firearms, and I used to watch action movies with him and stuff. And it just got more exciting to be able to grow the independence to get out into the bush and take a couple of my friends with me and go bird hunting or moose hunting or whatnot. And it was always just so fun. And so that is just kind of what fired up the passion even more. And then, every time I would come home with something, my dad would be like, "Oh my God, what did you do? Where'd you go?" And it was just always an exciting adventure. And I started more in the fitness side of things and kind of still still promoting hunting and stuff on social media when I did my own personal hunts, but I was into bodybuilding and fitness modeling and stuff. And then Wild TV got a hold of me and said that they wanted to try to do a TV show because my personality was outrageous and I actually hunt. And so I said, sure, we'll try it. And that went into a twelve episode series, which then turned into a brand new show on Sportsman Channel called That Hunting Girl. So I've been doing it for 8 years.
very cool. What is it like to be on TV and for lots of people to know who you are?
Huh. Well, it's I'm still not there. Like I get that I'm on TV, and I used to watch my shows to make sure there was no mistakes and stuff. So when I'm watching my show, it's kind of like I'm watching a project that I did. So I don't like watch my show and go, "Oh my God, I'm on TV." I'm like, "Oh shit, that commercial didn't go the way it was supposed to." Like things like that. I get recognized everywhere I go. Um, and that is, I don't know, it's like it's humbling and rewarding and fun all at the same time because I get to meet so many people. And a lot of my travels are done through driving. So I'm constantly on the road driving. And when I stop at like gas stations and stuff like that, I always have people come up and go like, "Oh my God, I watch your show." And I'm like, "That's so cool." And it's really cool to see who watches my show and the demographics and what they get out of it. And having people being included in the show is probably the most rewarding part of it, is taking somebody on an adventure.
Yeah, and I ran across your Instagram page and you have a lot of different hunting stuff on there. And some stuff I of course, me living in Virginia, I've never seen. And especially having you stand next to the animal and you're just kind of like, they're that big?
Oh my God, Africa was unbelievable. That was my first trip this year, and the kudu is from the antelope family. And I'm gonna say, when you see this animal walk through the savannas and come into your close range, it is just the most majestical animal you will ever see. Like the way it carries itself and the way its horns move and how he carries. Oh my God. It was pretty incredible. I love big game hunting. I know for the most part, I would say 60% of hunters are really into like waterfowl and duck hunting, and I'm just not one of those. I like to do it, But my big passion is big game, big animals with the bow.
There you go. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that I would imagine takes a lot of skill. One to be super quiet, and two to be accurate in where you need that arrow to be.
You do need to be accurate, but I mean, you need to be accurate with a gun as well. I don't think either one will leave you much room for error if you are off, but you are correct. I mean, if you're in a stand and you're bear hunting and a bear comes in, you can have the time to slowly pull up and hold the gun and be ready for that shot. But if you have a bow, you have more steps because you got to pull that bow back and then you got to lift it and then you might have to hold it for a few minutes, right? So yeah, I guess bow would be more challenging. We kind of had this conversation earlier today, and when a broadhead hits an animal and the animal takes off, that broadhead is still working on the animal on the inside to be able to have that animal expire. When your bullet hits an animal, it hits the animal, it mushrooms or it goes through, and that's it. Right? So when the animal runs away, it's not doing any more damage. So I personally think that bow hunting is almost like a better hunt.
And I can imagine. So, plus, with both, I guess there's a thrill aspect to it where, not so much that you just enjoy hunting the animal, but it's the challenge behind it, and plus, you know, hundreds of years ago, that's how we ate. We went and hunted.
That's right. And bow hunting is more rewarding. So all of my animals, I shot 5 animals in Africa, and they were all taken with the bow, and they were all passed through arrows through the kill zone, except for one got stuck in the shoulder. And it was so rewarding to be able to leave that hide, go out and find your animal within 60 yards. And being that close to them is such a thrill, and it's such like, oh my God, I did that. And I did it with the bow.
Now, I have to
Mhm.
ask, when you were in Africa, were you able to keep the animal once you hunted it?
Yeah, so what they do is they come, they take the animal, they bring it to the butchering shed, they take the hide off, they gut it, they butcher it up, and you have it for dinner that night. And yeah,
Wow.
it's so awesome, right? And then you get to feed like the whole community too. So you're eating that animal. So between me and 4 girls, I shot 5, Ray was 4, Erica was 3, and Shannon was 2. So do the math on that. And we were there for 7 days. We ate one type of animal each night, and then the rest went into the community. And then we decided on if we wanted shoulder mounts or Euro mounts, and I wanted my hides because I make clothes out of it.
Oh, wow. That's interesting as well.
Yes. So nothing goes to waste. It's really awesome.
And that's the way we used to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in this modern day, not that, I've been hunting myself, but it's one of those things where I think that we've lost that connection with nature, and the fact that regardless of where you stand, without nature, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, I live on a hobby farm. So if I'm not hunting, I'm raising animals and I'm growing a garden and I'm feeding that garden to my animals. So it's all kind of like rolls all into each other. I hate grocery stores.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Plus, when you are able to essentially harvest your own food, your meat and stuff, you know where it's coming from. You know that when you get it from nature, it doesn't have any of the junk in it that it does now when you buy it from like Walmart or
Oh,
whatever.
right? Can you imagine? Like, I could never imagine myself, and I see it on the news all the time. This has been recalled due to blah, blah, blah. Can you imagine? And you fed that to your family. How would that make you feel at the end of the day?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
even though it's not your fault.
Yeah, and I remember the first time as an adult that I tried venison, and it is different, but it's different in such a great way because with nothing added to it, it's one of those things that you can add whatever seasonings you want. You can make it whatever you want it to be, and you just know that with a different flavor, that comes with it, it's more natural and healthier for you as a person as well.
I agree. I agree. I agree on all of that. Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
you can do anything with any of that meat. You can cook it in jams, in honeys, in maple syrups. You can give it a sweet taste. You can mix it up with some vinegars and give it a sweet and sour. You can spice it up with steak spice. Like you can do anything with it. So,
yeah, exactly. And a couple of years ago, I tried for the first time there, and it was unbelievable. I'd never had it before, and there's nothing like it that you can go to the store and buy.
no, bear, the closest thing that you could come to for bear would be like a roast beef in texture because it's very rich and the meat itself is very red. So, yeah, when people ask me what does bear taste like, I'm like, it tastes like bear. Like, you can't really say it tastes like anything else because it doesn't.
Right? And I think that's my ultimate goal. Before I get to the point where I can't travel, is to try as many different, um, not so much animals, but different ways of cooking, different styles. Because of where we are, we have such a melting pot of people from across the world, and it's one of those things where I feel like that's one thing that I have in common with a lot of people who do hunting is you got to keep your mind open to different things and different cultures.
Uh, oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Do you guys have bears in Virginia?
We do. We have the predominant, I think, is black bears.
Yeah, yeah, here too in Ontario. If we want color phase, we got to go out west, and if that's really all you can hunt in Canada. I've never done a grizzly bear hunt. I don't think I actually ever would. We have them out west, but you're not allowed to hunt them.
Oh wow, yeah, I
Hmm.
heard they're hard to get.
I actually don't know. They're easy to get you if you're out in the bush, though.
Exactly. So, what kind of
Mhm.
animals over your career have you gone after and hunted?
Oh my goodness. Ever since I was little, I was big into grouse hunting and moose hunting and bear hunting. Those were my three predominant animals to hunt. So my son and I just returned from Newfoundland where we each harvested two bull moose, one each. I've been to Florida. I've done alligator hunting. I've done deep sea fishing. I went to Mexico last year and did marlin fishing and sharks. I've gone to Alberta. I've shot my bull elk. Um, I've done a mule deer hunt, which I didn't harvest one, but it was really super fun to run through the Badlands and try to get one. White-tailed deer, of course, many of those. Bears, of course, absolutely in Alberta, in Ontario, New Brunswick. Africa, I got my kudu, my wildebeest, my gemsbuck, impala, and a waterbuck. Alligator, I already said that. Wild boar in Florida. Oh my Jesus. Quite a few actually. Like, yeah, quite a few. I'm still yet to get a mule deer, and I have a couple of trips booked this year to New Zealand for red stag and Scotland for red stag as well.
Wow.
And I'm possibly going to Hawaii for fallow deer or axis deer, or I'm not even really sure yet on the Hawaii thing. And going back to Africa, I have a bow hunting camp there now because it was so successful. And yeah, so I do a lot of fishing and hunting. More hunting though.
Yeah, and see, that's very cool to know that you can do all those things and pretty much just travel the world and get to see different animals that you wouldn't normally see in North America that you could see in South Africa and or Africa, and I think that is a once in a lifetime kind of thing that if you get the opportunity like you have, just to jump on it and ride that wave as long as you can.
That's what my dad said. My dad said before he passed away, even before he passed away, he was like, Amanda, if you have a chance to do it, then just do it. And so just do it is a big thing. Like if you can do it, make it happen.
Exactly.
Figure out a way to make it happen.
Yeah, and I think within today's society, people don't really want to put themselves out there and take the chance. But what I found is that if you don't take the chance, the bill for regret that you get is going to be a lot more disheartening than failure, if that makes any sense,
Yep. It it totally does. Don't miss your chance on anything, really, whether you have plans with a friend. I always had plans to take my mom across the United States. She always wanted to see Memphis and Nashville, and she always wanted to do that trip. And she passed away tragically all of a sudden before we had an opportunity to do that. So that goes without saying in anything in life, whether it's just a trip, a camping trip, go to your buddies and have a beer. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, don't make an excuse to not do it. Just go and do it.
Exactly. Take the chance, fall forward, make as many mistakes as you can, but all by learning from them as you're creating your path to where you want to be.
And don't be scared to ask for something, because if you can accept the fact that you might hear the answer no, you may hear the answer yes. So never be terrified to ask for anything,
Exactly.
because that's how I became friends with Chuck and Gina Norris.
Really. That is
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yeah,
And you're not wrong. It's one of those things where the question you don't ask is always going to be no.
exactly. So if you don't try, you'll never know.
Exactly. And I admire that about entrepreneurs in general is that they're not afraid to take that leap. They know that there's that 50-50 chance that it may not work. And more so than not, unless you find the niche that works for you, most of the time, the first or second try doesn't work. Sometimes the third, fourth, and fifth.
Yep, you just got to do it. You just have to get out there and do it, and just put yourself out there.
Yeah, exactly. So, how did you come to meet Chuck Norris and his wife?
I just told the story. So I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is a thyroid problem, back in 1998 after I had my last baby, and they tried to like pump me full of different medications and stuff, and I was like, screw that, I don't want to do that. So I was up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was watching an infomercial on TV, and it was Chuck Norris using the Total Gym, and I'm like, what is that thing? So I checked it out, and he's like I grew up watching Chuck Norris movies with my dad, right? So Missing in Action and all these movies, and I was like, oh my god, that guy is just like super kick-ass. So I went to Walmart the next day. I bought it, I used it, and it changed my whole body. So a couple years later, when I started bodybuilding and working out for that kind of thing, I had started a fitness magazine, and it was ad free because when I would go to the gym, I would pick up a magazine and it was like 13 pages before you can get to an actual story, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a couple phone calls and see if I can get, like, that was my first dabble in sponsorship kind of stuff. So I called and I got the inventor's wife. I didn't even get administration. I got Joy. And she was like, hi, my name is Joy. How can I help you? And I didn't know who she was at the time. So I was just like, well, my name's Lynn Mayhew, and this is my story. And just thought I would share it with you. And she was like, oh, she's like, that's an incredible story. She's like, so what do you want from us? And I'm like, okay. I want to do an infomercial with Chuck Norris. And she's like, girl, you have the biggest set of balls I've ever met on a girl. And I was like, okay. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Anyway, she loved my spontaneity and she loved my spunk and my personality. She's like, I'm going to give you a call back. So a few weeks later, she called me back and she invited me to Houston, Texas to attend the Kickstart Kids Gala event, where Chuck and Gina have created this fundraising event for children who wouldn't necessarily get the opportunity to participate in martial arts. So I got to go to this event and sit with Chuck and Gina, and like, the doc from the Love Boat, George Bush was sitting behind us. Like, I'm just this like Canadian girl from a really small northern town, used to be super shy, and here I am sitting in Houston, Texas with like a room full of, oh my goodness. And it was just incredible, and I've gone ever since, up until COVID hit. And the funny story about that is a couple years ago, the last time I went to SHOT Show was in 2020, And I was doing a podcast with my buddy, and he's like, "Hey, Amanda," he's like, "Chuck Norris is at the Glock booth. You should go say hi." And I'm like, "No, like, I'll leave him alone." And then I'm like, "Screw that. I'm going to go say hi." So I went over and I stood in line. And the guy in front of me was like, just so you know, this is like the cutoff. So if you want to see him, you're just going to have to come back." And he was like super rude. And I'm like, why am I standing in line? So I went around the Glock booth, and his Chuck Norris's bodyguard recognized me. He's like, "Hey, come in. Do you want a picture? Blah 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 blah." So I'm like, "Sure." So me and Gina had a big hug, and me and Chuck had a big hug, and we switched autographs back and forth, took some pictures, and then I went back to the end of the line, and I tapped Buddy on the shoulder, and I'm like, "Hmm." I walked away because I was like, "You were so rude. Like, how can you do that? You don't know who somebody is." And that's the other thing. You could be sitting on an airplane, a train, in a meeting or whatever, and you don't know who knows who that's in that room that you're sitting with. So you always need to be careful, and you always should mind your manners.
Exactly. And that goes back to the old adage of be respectful and kind to whoever you meet, because you never know what they're going through, who they know, what kind of connections they have. Even though that's not the end goal, is just to be nice to people.
Yes, be nice to people, because sometimes people just get fed up with people that are not nice, and we do things like that. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. So yeah, yeah, it's fun.
So, what do you have coming up? I know you mentioned in an email that I got from you either yesterday or today. I can't remember exactly, but that you have something coming up in the next couple of days.
Yep. So I leave for SHOT Show on Saturday. So that's just kind of like production meetings and stuff with for the TV show. And then shortly after SHOT Show, I have Nashville. So I'll be back in Nashville speaking at Safari Club International. And yep, so I'll be speaking there, and then we're just doing some fun things and some like women go hunting stuff. And then shortly after that, I have another seminar in Saskatchewan. So I have like three events that are like back to back.
Very cool. I think that your story overall is a story of perseverance, having the courage
Hmm.
to double down on yourself, and knowing that regardless of what other people think, you're going to do it. You're going to do it your way, which is truthfully the best way to do things. Because if you have people around you saying you can't do it, don't do it, or you should do it this way, it almost never works out. And it's one of those things where I admire you in the fact that you paved your own road, and you said, "This is how I'm going to do things," and it's been a great success.
It has. It's struggling sometimes because like I don't have a regular job. So financially, sometimes it can be struggling because sometimes you have a lot, sometimes you don't have anything because you don't have a regular paycheck. So sometimes it's a little bit struggling that way. And then of course traveling, and I have three grown boys and two grandbabies and a farm, and so being gone, I'm usually gone about 240 days out of the year, give or take. So, back and forth, and then trying to fit everything in. And people are always asking me, "Can I go on this one? Can you take me here?" And I never want to say no. So I'm always like, "We'll figure it out." And then that just makes my year even busier.
Yeah, and I think we need more people like you in the world that aren't afraid to take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and pave their own path, and along the way able to inspire people and help people along the way, and talk to people like myself, and kind of share your story in a way that other people can listen to it and go, if she can do it, I can do it.
Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. And the program I have called Take Me Hunting is completely 100% proof that anybody can do it. I had a girl that had been coming to take me hunting for a couple of years, and we're just going bird hunting. But on the third year that I did it, I actually screwed up my back really bad, and I couldn't move. So I wasn't able to take the group of girls out, and she happened to be there. she not only took the girls out and was able to take them to the pit and have them shoot their guns before they went on the hunt, she could guide them on the grouse hunt and show them where the birds were, and she filmed it for my TV show. So she was able to do all of those things by learning how to do them with me. So that just goes and shows that she can do it. Now, she harvested her first big game animal in Africa this year with the crossbow. She came back determined because she's been trying to get a deer for a couple of years. And on the one day that she went out, she ended up shooting her deer by herself. She was alone at this point. And so she has grown into an amazing young hunter. You know, she's only 33 years old and she's been to Africa and she's, you know, she's doing amazing things. And that's what it's all about, is teaching others so that they can teach others.
Exactly. And you're also living proof of, if you say you can, or if you say you can't, you're right. And it's one of those things where it's great that you're taking what you know and giving that knowledge to other people, and that they're willing to sit there and absorb as much of it as they can and implement that, because we're missing that, in all aspects of life, I think.
I think you're dead on bang there. So when in Canada, when you go get your hunting license and your farm's license, they give you a card and off you go. See you later. Okay, well, what do you do next? Most people don't even know, like, what kind of boots do I buy? Where do I go to hunt? What am I looking for? Where do I sit? And some people have a hard time trying to figure out the whole hunting system on how to buy tags. And so that's what Take Me Hunting is all about. What do you need to know? Because I'm going to tell you what I know. And I don't know everything, but I know what I know.
And it's like you're like most teachers in the fact that if you don't know the answer that the person's looking for, you'll figure it out and you'll find it.
Yep, that's right. And you learn so much more by doing hands-on. If you're out there and you're like, if we're walking through a trail system with a couple girls, we're not just looking for birds to shoot. We're looking at the ground. What's walking on the ground? There's different tracks. Maybe we'll stop at a swamp and do a moose call and teach the girls how to do that. And there's always something like birch bark. You can use birch bark to start a fire even when it's pouring rain out. You can use sap from a poplar tree to fix a wound if you don't have a band-aid. Like, there's so many little things, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's some things that most people don't even think about, that even though you may not ever use that skill, it's still good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I've never cut myself where I've needed sap from a poplar tree, but I've had many gentlemen scope themselves to the point where they're bleeding and you have to stop the blood. So you can use the poplar from a sap tree to put it on there because it's sticky, right? And it works like a band-aid. There you
And
go.
see, I didn't even know that. That is very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's so much out there. You just got to get outside. I mean, I've probably spent probably 70 to 80% of my life outside, whether it's on the farm, in the yard, in the bush, fishing, ice fishing, whatever. Like, I've always I've always been outdoors, and so have my kids. My grandbaby is 4 years old, and she's almost a better turkey caller than I am. Like,
Oh, wow.
she's amazing. Yeah, she snowboards, she skateboards, she loves hunting, but she can be a little princess too, right? And that's okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's great that you're helping teach the next generation of, hey, this is how I did things, and this is how you can do things, and still, be a part of, make yourself feel great. And, if you want to, dress up, you can still do that while still doing these things and be successful in anything you do.
Exactly. I have an opportunity coming up in April where I've been invited to walk the catwalk in Toronto for Sean Connery's fundraising event that he created back when he was still alive, called Dress to Kilt. And it's all like about Scotland and all the different tweeds and fashion designers and stuff. I would never in a million years ever consider myself a catwalk model. And I don't even know actually how I'm going to find the balls to do that one, but that's something that's completely out of my realm. And I'm going to get dressed up and I'm going to go do it because it just sounds like fun.
Yeah, and plus, like you said earlier, when the opportunity knocks, open the door and answer it.
Take it, take it and go.
Yep, take the ball and run.
And if you're scared, you know what? That's okay because I'm a keynote speaker, and so I get on the stage in front of hundreds of people and I speak about what I do, and it is nerve-wracking every single freaking time. But to the point, like when I was in high school, I would make my mom write a note so that I wouldn't have to do public speaking. But you know what? You get up there, you do it, and the applause that you get and the feedback that you get makes it so rewarding. And who cares if you were scared to get up there and do it? You did it. Now it's over.
Exactly. Plus, you never know who's going to be sitting in that audience that you're going to change something in their life.
Exactly. Exactly. And I do that many times with range days. I have range days. So I've been doing those since 2011, and it's a women's range day, no license required. You come out, shoot archery, pistol, rifle, and shotgun. And I take like 28 to 30 girls and we split them up into 4 groups and they rotate through the stations. And at the end of the day, I will have girls that'll be like, oh my God, Amanda, I never thought I would ever touch a shotgun or a pistol or whatever. And I get it all the time. You changed my life. You changed my perspective. I feel safe around these now. And I'm going to go get my gun license. Yeah, you are.
And that's what it's about. I know down here, they are all about gun control and all this, but I think that the best way to do that is to inform people of how to use the weapon that they have. Because if you don't know how to use it, you're definitely either going to hurt yourself or someone else.
Exactly. And a lot of the girls that I do get, they'll come to range day because their husband has a gun safe with shotguns and rifles. And they're like, well, I'm scared of that. But when they come to range day, we'll take the shotgun apart and we'll show them how it works, put them in a safe environment, get them shooting it, and they're so much more comfortable and it's just makes more sense for them.
Exactly. And I think to touch on what you said about it making them feel more comfortable and secure with the weapon, I think that also it makes them feel more comfortable at home knowing, if their husband's away at work or whatever the case is, that if something were to happen, hopefully never does, but if it does, you're ready and capable to know how to use that and protect yourself.
That is true, but you can't do that in Canada.
Really?
You yeah, we cannot use a firearms for self-defense.
Gotcha.
It is 100% frowned upon. So our firearms are used is hunting purposes and shooting competitions, range shoots, and that's it. We can't carry. There's none of that. So it's a pretty different, cool world when I go to the States and like all my buddies are carrying, and it's just like wow.
I didn't realize how different it was. I mean, I knew they had
Yeah.
stricter rules when it came to that.
Yep. Yep. So we can own a pistol, but we have to have a certain license to be able to take the pistol to the range, and that's the only place you can use it. You can't use it anywhere else. It has to be locked separately in your house and different from everything else. And yeah, you have to be very diligent with with how you store your firearms and the kinds of firearms that you're allowed to have. And we have non-restricted and restricted. Most hunting firearms are non-restricted, and those are the ones that you can, it's turkey season, I'm grabbing my shotgun, throwing it in my truck, and off I go. And then the restricted ones are the pistols and like tactical stuff. So
Very cool. So, as far as being able to check out your content and be able to uh, watch your show on the Sportsman channel, right?
Sportsman Channel,
Uh,
yeah.
where can we find you on social media, and can our listeners find that information to check out what you've done?
So my company is called Just Hunt. So if you go to justhunt.ca, everything is nice and neat in there for you. It has all the social media links under my picture. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can go to YouTube and binge watch all the old seasons, but the fresh season is played on Sportsman Channel. And yeah, it's all nice and neat on justhunt.ca.
That's very cool. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure to have you and to hear your story. It's very inspirational, and I hope that anybody who's listening to this, at any point can take something away from this and learn that no matter your situation, you can always turn it around to benefit you and be a success in anything that you do.
Yes, I hope that absolutely. And if you're somebody out there that is listening, then if you have any questions or anything, any feedback, or you want to do something cool, like you can join us. It doesn't matter if you're Canadian, if you're American, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I love hanging out with people and meeting new people. So go ahead and contact me. Thank you for having me on the
Absolutely.
show. It was fun.
It's been a real pleasure, and hopefully we can do it again. I thoroughly enjoy talking to people and just hearing their story and hearing kind of what makes people tick. And you know, every once in a while, I run across somebody like yourself who's was able to change perspective as far as their life goes and turn things into a direction that they wanted to go and be a success at it along the way of trying to help change people's lives as well.
Yes, that's important. I think everyone is here for a reason, and you it's just a matter of time before someone like before you figure out what you're here for. And I think this is part of my purpose.
Yes, and I couldn't agree more. Well,
Oh,
well, listen, I hope you have a good rest of the afternoon, and hopefully you have a safe trip. And it looks like things are going to keep going up for you, and I wish you the best success that you could possibly have.
thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Down, down.